Made with spoken.
The smell of rain. She wandered through the garden fence and said, "I've bought at great expense a potion guaranteed to bring relief from all your suffering. Procol harm." "Greetings, Dr. Ruby," the tiny but regal woman said crisply. "Welcome to the Protectorate." Dr. Ruby dropped his carry-on and messenger bag and prepared to kneel. That was proper protocol for a stranger greeting the Grand Elder of the Axnulta, but the woman shook her head. "No," she thought to him, waving her hand. "There's no need for that. I'm honored enough that you've traveled here on such short notice." "I'm humbled, Elder," he thought back. She gently touched his hand. "And call me by my name, Lhak'ti. It's not like we haven't met." He blushed and awkwardly shifted his weight. Okay, he thought back. He would have been more comfortable if she'd insisted he follow the rules. Yes, they had met before, but under unusual circumstances. She was near death with a mysterious illness, and he was stoned out of his mind on the Axnulta seer's potion and expected to cure her in the ancient way. By some miracle, he was successful, and as a result, Ruby Biotech won exclusive rights to harvest Axnulta, the Axnulta seer's plant, deep in the rainforest. It was the first and only time Lillian Ruby had used his gift for business, and he sensed it had been a grave mistake. Lhak'ti's lone bodyguard, a bald, solidly built man barely 5.5 feet tall, took Dr. Ruby's luggage, slinging the messenger bag over his shoulder. "Are there any more in your party?" Lhak'ti asked aloud. "No, just me." She frowned slightly. "I was hoping you'd bring your husband, Dr. Grove, along. Or perhaps your sister. David's in Beijing Dome on business. Ray is on tour." Lhak'ti smiled. "Perhaps it's just as well." The three of them made their way to the shuttleport's main concourse. Dr. Ruby surveyed the crowd and surroundings. The Brazilian Protectorate's southern shuttleport hadn't changed much since that fateful trip 9 years before. There were a few more restaurants and shops, and generally things had gotten more upscale. But that was it. He noticed more people wearing full hazard gear, although the suits weren't nearly as bulky as the suits in the Crescent outside. The worst areas of the Protectorate weren't rated more than D1. If you were young and healthy, you could still walk around in your bare clothes and a simple face mask. The Intertribal Council and the First Peoples Treaty had a lot to do with that. The indigenous tribes had come together to preserve and recover a large part of the landscape and had succeeded in blunting the worst of modern excess. Lhak'ti hadn't changed much, either. Of course, she was healthy now and had ascended to become the leader of her tribe, but she had barely aged. She had the same warm brown eyes that hinted at wisdom far beyond her years, the same flawless mocha skin, the same royal bearing, and the same steely discipline. "Would you like a little something to eat?" she asked. "There will be the Moondark Feast later tonight, but just in case, I know you've traveled a long way, and on a public shuttle no less." "I could use some coffee," Dr. Ruby replied, "or hot chocolate." Lhak'ti gestured towards a small cafe. As they got closer, Dr. Ruby smelled the aroma of warm chocolate and fresh baked bread. "Here?" "Yes, that's fine." Dr. Ruby walked in ahead of her, pulled 2 menu sheets from the counter, and found a table in the corner. He started to pull out a chair for Lhak'ti, but her bodyguard flashed him a disapproving look and pulled out another chair instead. Of course, he should have remembered. Even a casual touch initiated by a stranger could render Lhak'ti unclean, which would have meant bad luck for the Moondark Feast. She could touch him, but he couldn't touch her. Lhak'ti was blushing when she sat down. Then she frowned at the bodyguard and reprimanded him. "Itanak, don't be unwelcoming. He is well with me. You know who he is, don't you? This is the man who saved my life." Dr. Ruby handed one of the menus to Etnak, who made a great show of blowing on it to clear away evil spirits before passing it to Lhak'ti. "My apologies, Elder," he thought. She lightly touched his hand again. "I'm not offended. And please, call me Lhak'ti." "May I call you Lillian?" Dr. Ruby smiled. "Of course." Lhak'ti ordered tall hot chocolates for them. They arrived within minutes. The server bowed before passing the mug to Lhak'ti's bodyguard. She was also Axnulta. Dr. Ruby could tell by the tattoo around her left wrist. "The tribe owns this cafe?" Dr. Ruby asked. "Yes," Lhak'ti proudly replied. She pointed to a crowded shop across the concourse. "We own that newsstand as well. Being so insular is no longer advantageous for us. Isn't that why you travel mostly by public shuttle?" Dr. Ruby smiled. "Yes, stepping outside the bubble keeps me honest. I learn plenty by eavesdropping on people's conversations." So what did you learn on your trip here? That folks are anxious about the tensions brewing in this area. Those poison dart murders are getting a lot of media attention. Lhak'ti laughed. Fortunately, there's only been 2 of those, but you'd think it had been hundreds from the news coverage. They weren't our darts, though. The Axnulta are more likely to curse you and your unborn children if you do us dirty. Her tone turned serious. But while I strongly disapprove of murder, I do understand why those executives were killed. You foreigners can no longer cheat us without consequences. We are no longer willing to play the dumb savage for you. Her righteous anger caught him by surprise. Her emails were usually chatty and pleasant. Was he in trouble? Has Ruby Biotech broken our agreement? He thought to her. Is that what was so urgent? Lhak'ti lowered her eyes and placed her hand over his. No, she thought to him sadly. It would have been far less urgent if that had been the case. Instead, one of us has dishonored you. Dr. Ruby found that hard to believe. Who? Roberto Inez, the ethnobotanist. He belongs to a terrorist network. They've been spying on you. That's shocking, thought Dr. Ruby. His assistance with sequencing Oxnay Shah's genome was invaluable. That new tuberculosis strain would have decimated the Beijing outer zones and perhaps the whole world had it not been for his research. Lhak'ti gave his hand a quick squeeze. Lillian, no one is ever completely evil. The worst demons can don the clothing of the gods if it suits them. You said he was a spy. What did he find? Your private laboratory in the Crescent's 10th zone. He claims you have a living lake in the middle of an area rated D6+. Is that true? Dr. Ruby took a deep breath. In a manner of speaking, yes. There is a lake near my private laboratory, and it supports a simple ecosystem, but that lake is man-made, and it has taken me nearly 20 years to get it to live. Her eyes grew wide. That's extraordinary. How did you do it? She asked aloud. Patience, research, credits, more patience, and a healthy amount of luck. That's not what I meant, whispered Lhak'ti. Or rather, that's not what I wished to know. Did you use your gifts? She thought to him. Did you heal the lake as you healed me? Dr. Ruby stared into his near-empty mug. The answer was so much more complicated than a simple yes or no. Sometimes, he haltingly confessed, when I had reached an impasse, when it seemed I was doomed to fail, I'd ask the lake what it wanted, and it would tell me. Lhak'ti lowered her eyes. Since she was still touching Dr. Ruby's hand, her sadness easily bled into him. Then, what Roberto told the Council of Elders makes much more sense. What did he say? Dr. Ruby asked aloud. He admitted he was the one who suggested the contest to my mother. The contest where you and the woman from Grove Pharma competed for the rights to harvest Oxnay Shah by attempting to heal me. He heard the rumors about you. He needed to know if they were true. At first, Dr. Ruby said nothing, although Lhak'ti could plainly see the distress on his face. He abruptly rose, gathered both mugs, and left them in the plastic bin for dirty dishes near the counter. Then she watched as he disappeared into the restroom. I understand why you hide your gift, she thought to him when he returned. So many of your colleagues are dead, of soul, and fearful of what they refuse to understand. And I could feel your apprehension about this place as you descended the escalator. What Roberto did was wrong, and I'm contemplating banishment for him, especially since that contest resulted in a needless death. Your secrets should be yours to keep, but I will never stop thanking you for saving my life. She stood, then touched his arm gently, while her bodyguard frowned. Clearly, Etanok wished his grand elder would be a little less chummy with the stranger. Come, she said, let us get ready for the feast. It seemed to take almost as long to reach Axnulta territory from the shuttle port as it did to shuttle down to the Protectorate from the Crescent. It was near dusk before they finally arrived. When Dr. Ruby emerged from the SUV, he was astounded by the changes he could see from the central circle. 9 years ago, it was all mud huts and thatch roofs. Now, the main buildings were mostly 3D composite, complete with integrated solar cells. As you can see, Lhak'ti said, we've modernized a bit since your last visit. It was difficult getting the council to agree to the changes, but those changes helped keep the younger generation close, and everyone likes having consistent power and running water. Your stranger technology isn't all bad. She grabbed Dr. Ruby's hand and led him to her cottage. Unlike most of the other buildings, it wasn't colored moss green and 3D printed. Instead, it was painted a lively purple and constructed from recycled plastic bottles and concrete. It was a tidy 2-bedroom with a spacious open kitchen and dining living area, perfect for larger gatherings. Etanok dropped Dr. Ruby's bags in the guest bedroom and quickly made himself scarce. Dr. Ruby got the distinct impression the bodyguard did not like him. "Where is the Moondark feast?" he asked Lhak'ti. "Is it to be held here?" "No, it's deeper in the jungle," she replied. "I will escort you there at the proper time." She walked into the kitchen, opened a drawer, pulled out an elaborately carved wooden box, then lifted the lid. "You still have a few hours. I apologize for upsetting you at the cafe. Might I offer you some smoke to relax?" "Yes, thank you." She smiled mischievously. "Warning, this smoke is very potent. It's my special Moon Dark blend." Dr. Ruby pulled out a chair from the dining room table and sat down. "Potent is how I like it," he said, smiling back. Lhak'ti handed him a lit pipe and he took a deep draw. Held it, then exhaled. She was right. The stuff was potent, but it was just what he needed. He wasn't completely relaxed, but at least he felt better. They smoked in silence for a while. Then Lhak'ti suddenly asked, "Will you participate fully in tonight's ceremony?" "What do you mean?" "Will you drink the seer's potion again?" He blew out a puff of smoke, then took another draw. "I don't know," he finally replied, knowing that wasn't what his host wished to hear. "Is there someone else who needs to be healed?" By now, Lhak'ti was seated across from him, and she paused to look him directly in the eye. Her gaze was piercing. "No, Lillian, I want to repay you, and I'd like you to experience our traditions in the proper spirit. The last time you drank the potion, it was under duress. There's no need to be afraid." Dr. Ruby sighed. She wasn't going to let him off easily. "I will consider it." He stood. "Do you mind terribly if I take a short nap? It's been a long day." She smiled. "No, I don't mind. I need some time alone to prepare for tonight's ritual." He walked to the guest bedroom and got in bed. Even though he was tired, he spent several minutes staring at the ceiling before finally falling asleep. He barely survived drinking the seer's potion once. He was now 9 years older. Could he risk it again? He awoke to the sound of Lhak'ti whispering, "Lillian, it is time." The room was pitch black. He sat up, with his back against the headboard. He couldn't see a damn thing, although he could feel Lhak'ti was close. "Is there a light?" "There is," she replied. "But be patient and give your eyes time to adjust to the dark. You'll be surprised at how well you can see." He shut his eyes, then opened them again. Gradually, the room came into focus with astonishing clarity, although he could only see in shades of blue. He wondered what caused this heightened night vision. Perhaps it was the smoke Lhak'ti had given him. She was standing at the foot of the bed, wearing a gown so diaphanous. He could see every subtle curve of her body underneath. She was as lean and fierce as a lioness in her prime, and he felt himself blush like a schoolboy. He'd never reacted to a woman that way before. Yes, he decided, the smoke was affecting him strangely, but it's not like she hadn't warned him. Still, he'd have to keep his guard up. Lhak'ti seemed amused by his sudden timidness and tossed him a garment similar to the one she was wearing. "Here," she thought to him with a playful smile. "Get dressed." He slunk into the bathroom, took off his street clothes, then slipped the gown over his head. There was a full-length mirror on the back of the door, and he spent a few minutes staring at himself. Underneath the robe, he saw himself as he was, a skinny old man with a serious case of bedhead. Not very impressive for the third richest person on Earth. Even though he could well afford them, he had never sought anti-aging treatments, thinking them a stupid waste of credits. Growing older had never frightened him, but he felt so inadequate now. "Lillian," Lhak'ti called, "are you okay?" He ran his fingers through his hair, then leaned forward to study the wrinkles on his face. "I'm fine," he called back. "Then come on," she said. She grabbed his hand when he emerged from the bathroom and led him outside to the central clearing. About 30 people were gathered there, dressed in the same revealing ritual gowns. Dr. Ruby surmised they were the Council of Elders and their chosen companions for the feast. No one appeared as self-conscious as he felt. Lhak'ti chanted something in Axnulta, and the others chanted something in response. Dr. Ruby could have attempted to translate the essence of what they were saying, but that would have taken more energy than he had at that moment. They marched into the jungle. Actually, marched was the wrong word, because they moved more nimbly than that. It was more like a dance. At least the Axnulta were dancing. Dr. Ruby felt as if he was stumbling stupidly. Although he could see in the dark amazingly well, he found himself holding on to Lhak'ti's hand for dear life. She sensed his unease. "Lillian, relax," she thought to him. "I will allow no harm to come to you. Just listen to the world thrumming with life. The forest is singing." He tried to do as he was told, but by then, He felt as if he were only loosely attached to his body, and Lhak'ti's delicate hand was the only thing tethering him to earth. Finally, they came to a clearing, and the council and their guests sat in a circle on the moist ground. 5 chanting women came from the west, bearing bowls of fruit, nuts, and other delicacies. Lhak'ti was served first, and after grabbing a hearty handful, she passed each bowl to Dr. Ruby, who sat on her right. He grabbed something from each bowl as they came, being mindful to take less than his host, so he couldn't be accused of taking more than his share. Then he passed each bowl on. Everything was tasty, if a little too spicy, and by the time he had sampled each bowl, whatever hunger he felt had been sated. Then Lhak'ti led the council in a few post-meal chants. She had a strong, lovely voice that echoed to the sky. The forest and the council sang back their appreciation. After that, a man holding a large bowl emerged from the west. Dr. Ruby recognized him as Etanok, the bodyguard who had accompanied him and Lhak'ti from the shuttleport. From the first whiff of the pungent liquid, Dr. Ruby knew precisely what that bowl contained. The Seer's potion. You would have to make a decision fast. As with the 5 bowls of the feast, Lhak'ti was served first. Etanok knelt in front of her and lifted the bowl to her lips. She drank heartily without flinching. Etanok whispered something to her in Axnulta, and Lhak'ti smiled lazily and touched his cheek. After that, Etanok handed her the bowl. She turned and offered the bowl to Dr. Ruby, lifting it to his lips. Already the spirit of the potion had taken a hold of her. He could see it in her eyes, which now burned with a cool blue flame. She waited while he debated, and soon he felt her heart beating with his. Trust me, she thought to him. He closed his eyes and drank. The potion burned on the way down, and that heat quickly spread throughout his body. He felt some liquid dribble down his chin, and Lhak'ti leaned in to kiss it away. He felt her lips brush against his. I have a husband, he thought in a panic. I have several, she thought back, stroking his cheek. Then she whispered something to him in Axnulta, after which she was kind enough to translate. Safe travels, Lillian. We will meet in our dreaming. Somehow, Dr. Ruby found himself naked in bed, staring at the ceiling. His bizarrely vivid night vision had intensified. The shades of blue now pulsed with energy and hummed with delight, and the ceiling resembled a bioluminescent ocean of swirling currents. A parade of words lazily drifted through his mind. Jetstream, plasma, orgone, the engine of creation. He had a chuckle at the last one. The Seer's potion was making him pompous. What's orgone? Lhak'ti's query pierced his reverie. She seemed to materialize out of nowhere, looking down at him, her face inches from his. Some mid-20th century quack's name for the life force, he replied. Oh, she thought, and Dr. Ruby heard the echo of her girlish giggle dancing in his head. Then she kissed him, the touch of her lips lighter than air. It was like being kissed by a ghost. He wondered if the Seer's potion was playing tricks on him. Are you real? He asked. I'm real enough for you, she cheekily replied. She kissed him again, deeper this time, and he tasted something sweet. He felt the breeze shift over his chest. He vainly tried to touch her face, but found he couldn't move. Sleep paralysis, he told himself. So maybe this was just a dream. Do you remember how you healed me? Lhak'ti asked. No, Dr. Ruby answered aloud. Maybe he was talking to himself, maybe not. You made love to me, her voice pinged in his head. You were very logical about it. In order for you to heal me, you figured your soul needed to completely merge with mine. So you decided that sex was the most efficient way to achieve that end. He laughed. He barely remembered that night 9 years ago, but that sounded like something he would do. Even tripping the light fantastic, he would impose his method on the madness. Let me do the same for you, she cooed. Why? He asked. Am I sick? No, but you are afraid. He was aware of more of her body now, although if she was really there, she was practically weightless. As she moved over him, it felt like fairy wings beating against his skin. The hair on his arms stood at attention, and he felt an erection coming on. Christ, he thought. I'm almost 80 years old, and I'm having a wet dream. Lhak'ti giggled again. Dr. Ruby opened his eyes. Funny. He thought they had been open, but maybe not, and saw her sitting astride him. Already, he felt himself deep inside her, the sensation both surreal and pleasurable. He desperately wanted to move, but Lhak'ti thought to him, Lillian, be still and trust me. Then suddenly, he found himself in the storm shelter beneath the Knights of the New Star Priory in the 6th Zone, his family's first home when they came to the Crescent. He stood facing the cot in the corner where he had slept as a boy. A potted white orchid sat on top of the faded linen. Lhak'ti was standing beside him. "Where is this place?" she asked. "What does it mean to you?" "It's the storm shelter my family stayed in when we first came to the Crescent," Dr. Ruby replied. "We had nowhere to go, and the priests were kind enough to give us sanctuary." "What's the significance of the orchid?" "A priest gave it to me." Lhak'ti's hand brushed against his. Her touch was as delicate as dragonfly wings. That was sweet of him. "No, it wasn't," Dr. Ruby countered. "He gave it to me because he thought I had cursed it, and he didn't want it near him anymore." She laughed. "Seriously? He believed a boy would curse an innocent plant?" "Apparently. But I did no such thing. He told me he was having trouble getting the flower to bloom, so I talked to it so it would. But he thought my gift came from the devil, so my family had to leave the shelter." He paused when he noticed his face was wet. Damn, was he actually crying? Could the pain still feel this sharp after 75 years? Then, he was back in bed, with Lhak'ti's head resting on his chest. "I'm sorry, Lillian," she thought. He tried moving his hand again. He felt a strong urge to stroke her hair, but his hand felt heavier than lead. It was like climbing Mount Everest just to lift a finger, and when he did manage to move it an inch, he found himself in his father's sick room in his family's old house in the 10th sun. He couldn't have been more than 12. His father sat in his electric wheelchair, blankly staring at the churning gray mist just outside the window. An environmental toxin had ravaged his nervous system, robbing him first of movement, then thought, all that made him human. Dr. Ruby had already been enrolled at the regional university for 2 years and was home on winter break. When he touched his father's hand to read him, all he could hear was the soft static of autonomic function. There were no words. There weren't even images anymore. "Why didn't you tell me about this before?" he remembered asking his mother. "I could have saved him. Now everything is too far gone. I can't get the cells to speak to me. They no longer understand what I'm saying." "He cloaked his illness from us for a long time," his mother explained. "And when the first symptoms began to show, he explained them away. On several occasions I've asked his soul if it wishes to be released, but it stays stubbornly tethered to earth. Perhaps he has been waiting for you to release him." "So did you release him?" Lhak'ti asked. "Not exactly. He spent that day with his father in the sick room. He studied and took his meals there. Every time he ate, he offered his father a bit of food, a morsel of bread, a spoonful of soup. But when Dr. Ruby brought the food to his father's lips, they refused to part. That night, with his mother's help, he undressed and bathed him, and they laid him naked in bed. Dr. Ruby took his shower, then slipped in naked beside him. He held his father's limp hand, aligned his breathing with his, then submerged himself in what little remained of his father's consciousness. "Daddy," he asked, "are you ready to go? Will you let me help you?" I wasn't sure if he'd answer me, he thought to Lhak'ti. I wasn't sure if he could. So much was missing. But he did receive an answer. An incredible aroma charged the air, he continued. It was difficult to place the scent at first. It smelled moist, metallic, and slightly electric. Then I remembered the university's indoor garden. It had a sprinkler system, which could mimic all kinds of natural precipitation. That's when I realized it was the scent of rain. I'd never smelled rain in the wild, because when you're geared up, you don't smell anything except your own breath inside the apparatus. But as a boy, my father had. So that's how he said goodbye. He sent me the smell of rain. He released himself. I didn't help him at all. Dr. Ruby was back in bed, his face soaked with tears. The seer's potion made his grief so painfully fresh. Lhak'ti was staring down at him. She was crying too. "Lillian," she thought to him, "you have nothing to be ashamed of. You were there when he wanted you to be. But if he had let me know in time, I could have saved him. But for whatever reason, he didn't. Lillian, you did not fail." She leaned in to kiss him, and this time, he allowed himself to completely surrender to her embrace. He tasted salt, ash, and earth, and felt a burden lift from him, like a fever breaking. "I know what this is about," Lhak'ti thought to him. "I know that during the contest, you wanted to save the woman from Grove Farmer too." "Yes," Dr. Ruby confessed. "I could feel she had the gift, but I knew she was in way over her head, and she didn't deserve to die. Lillian, you are powerful, but not omnipotent. We can only do what we can." He blinked, and she was astride him again, and he felt ready to burst. He hadn't felt like that since he was a teenager, and he wasn't sure how much longer he could last. She was smiling at him, amused at his predicament. "Move with me, Lillian," she whispered. He noticed her voice was no longer just inside his head. This wasn't a dream. They began to move, lazily at first, like the evening tides. But soon, their movements grew more frenzied, until they climaxed together. He glimpsed the beginnings of first light as he drifted off to sleep. He woke up alone, feeling good. Other than a very slight hangover, the potion had no ill side effects. He grabbed some clothes from his carry-on, then went to the bathroom to take a leisurely shower. Normally, he would have been mindful of using so much hot water. Lhak'ti might have had a grand title, but she was far from wealthy. But the steam helped clear his head. After he got dressed, he wandered into the living area. Lhak'ti was spread out on the sofa, reading some legal papers and making notes in the margins. She looked strangely ordinary. You'd never guess she'd been a glowing blue goddess the night before. When she saw him, she smiled. "Good afternoon, Lillian," she said. "Let me finish reading this, and I'll fix you something to eat. Otherwise, make yourself at home. There's a collection of teas on the counter." "Don't rush," he said. He went to the kitchen and boiled water for tea. There was a jar filled with jet black leaves that looked just strong enough. He brewed himself a cup, then took a seat at the dining table. Lhak'ti finished reading and came into the kitchen a few minutes later. She fixed him a plate of scrambled eggs, nuts, and fruit, which was the closest approximation of an American breakfast she could dream up. She fixed nothing for herself. Instead, she watched over him like a mother hen. "How are you, Lillian?" she asked with genuine concern. "I'm fine," he replied honestly. "I feel a bit freer." He lowered his eyes briefly, then quietly added, "Thank you." "Good," she said, relieved. "That was my intention. I sense you may soon have a battle to fight. You can't afford to be conflicted. So what do these terrorists plan to do to me? Did Roberto tell you?" Lhak'ti shook her head. After a while he stopped talking, and even when I read him, I could sense nothing solid. He might be on a need-to-know basis, and only know so much. She paused before adding, "Most likely it will involve forcing you to acknowledge your gift publicly. And it may involve a contest, although you may only be competing against yourself." Silence. Without warning, Dr. Ruby felt himself floating away again. He tried focusing on his near-empty plate, keeping his breathing steady. It was useless. "Lillian!" Lhak'ti called. "Elder," he thought he heard himself say. "I think I'm still dreaming." He was back in the past again. It was 9 years ago, the night when he and Lhak'ti first met, the night he went to heal her. She was languishing on a pile of blankets in the sick hut, drenched in her own sweat. An older woman sat cross-legged by her side, radiating hopelessness and exhaustion. When she glimpsed the two pale, wild-eyed strangers stumbling into the sick hut, she spat on the ground. "I till me," she hissed, before retreating to a remote corner of the hut. Dr. Ruby had no idea what the word actually meant, but he didn't have to be fluent in Axnulta to know it was an insult. The first thing the woman from Grove Pharma did, when she crossed the threshold, was vomit and crumple to the ground. She'd thrown up at least 3 times on the way to the sick hut. She'd need healing before the night was over. Even though he was battling his own wave of nausea, Dr. Ruby took the time to position her on another pile of blankets so at least she wouldn't choke on her own vomit. Then he laid down beside Lhak'ti and took her in his arms to read her, while the old woman in the corner continued to hiss ill will. Lhak'ti did not register his presence. She was as limp as a rag doll, her soul submerged in an ocean of noise. Dr. Ruby drew her closer to get a deeper read. The illness was voracious and quite fascinating. It was viral in nature, but this virus seemed to be something more than a parasitic strain of semi-biological malware. It possessed an intelligence approaching consciousness. He'd never read anything like it. That's when he swore he felt the message. "We have been waiting for you." Either the potion had completely absconded with his sanity, or this beastie recognized him. And just like that, back in the present, he was lying on Lhak'ti's sofa with his head in her lap. Being so close to her was no longer unsettling. In fact, it had a certain inevitability. After all, they were two souls bound by dreaming. "Lhak'ti," he told her, "I think the contest was a trap. Your illness was conscious, and it was waiting for me." Lhak'ti stroked his forehead. "Shh," she said gently. "It seems the spirits are not yet done with you." After a while, she asked, "What do you mean when you say my sickness was conscious?" "I mean, it spoke to me like it had a spirit of its own. I had forgotten about that until now. Drinking the potion again allowed me to remember. As I recall, Your illness was unique. No one else in your tribe ever displayed any symptoms similar to yours. No, Lhak'ti said. No one ever has. The doctors at the hospital had never seen anything like it and eventually gave up. That's how I wound up in the sick hut. My mother was desperate to save my life. That's how Roberto got her to agree to the contest. So we both got used. Do you think such an illness, a conscious virus, could occur naturally? Believe it or not, my first inclination is to say yes. Nature never ceases to amaze me. Just because it's improbable doesn't make it impossible. The Hugans back home claim the damage we've done to our physical environment has affected the world in ways we can't begin to fathom. Even that which is beyond the veil has been irrevocably altered. As below, so above. Do you think Roberto could have made this thing? Lhak'ti asked. No, Dr. Ruby quickly replied. He's brilliant and his gift is strong, but I'm certain he couldn't make something like this alone. If your illness was engineered as some sort of test, it's the handiwork of many people working for a long time. Lhak'ti paused to consider the ramifications of what he'd said. Do you think I might be able to speak to Roberto? Dr. Ruby asked. While the punishment you decide for him is tribal business, he did betray me. I think I have a right to question him. That's just the thing, Lhak'ti said. We can't find him. He was teaching a few classes at the university, and I agreed to let him complete the term. But a couple of days ago, he vanished. The folks at the university are confused. He left without warning. Well, if you find him before I leave, let me know. He sat up slowly. He was loath to leave the sofa and the warmth of her touch, but he needed to be alone. For the rest of that day, he slept. When he awoke, there were no more visions. The spirits were finally done with him, and perhaps had shown him all he needed to know for the fight that lay ahead. At least he knew he had a powerful ally in Lhak'ti. The rest of his time in the Protectorate was reassuringly routine. He spent the next few days touring his company's facilities in the area. He spoke to his employees about the importance of the company honoring its agreements with the Axnulta, as well as all other tribes in the Protectorate and elsewhere. Ruby Biotech would weather the current tensions as they always had, by doing the right thing. In the end, their sterling reputation was worth more than gold. During the day, Lhak'ti attended to tribal business. At night, she gave him his space, sometimes leaving the cottage entirely. Maybe she was tending to those several husbands she mentioned. But when it came time for Dr. Ruby to leave, Lhak'ti drove him to the shuttleport herself, without her bodyguard. They were mostly silent during the trip, although sometimes, when they were stopped in traffic, he felt her hand on his knee. Even though the air was heavy and humid, and running the air conditioning would have been more comfortable, she drove with the windows open. A misty rain was falling, and occasionally Dr. Ruby would drop his mask to feel the mist against his face and deeply inhale the aromas of life around him. This was the best part about visiting the Protectorate. It was one of the few places you could safely smell rain in the wild. The scent was different than the scent back home, but it didn't matter. It was intoxicating anyway. The Axnulta were some of the first humans, and they would probably survive to be some of the last. They had been such good stewards of their patch of earth. Roberto is still missing, Lhak'ti informed him as he turned to ascend the escalator to board his flight. Every effort to contact him has been unsuccessful. I fear he is no longer in this world. Perhaps his shame has consumed him. I'm sorry one of us has wronged you, she thought to him, but I hope our dreaming has been fruitful. I pray the spirits have given you the strength you need. Dr. Ruby knelt to say goodbye. He knew Lhak'ti had excused him from following protocol, but kneeling expressed the fullness of what he felt. Thank you, Elder, he thought to her, and he truly meant it. The potion had done him wonders, and he was honored she had been his guide. I am grateful for all you have given me. Whatever debt you felt you owe me has been repaid. I would tell you to stand, Lillian, because I see you as my equal, and you are no longer a stranger to me. But then I wouldn't be able to easily do this. She leaned forward to kiss him one last time. Safe travels, Elder. I'm sure we will see each other again.
Professional audiobooks in a click. Spoken.